Well, hello everyone. This is British StarCraft and welcome to a new StarCraft cast, and you have my utmost, sincerest apologies for not uploading anything within the last week or so. I have been excruciatingly busy with work, as always, in fact, and I have in fact paused the game, so that wasn't playing for the last 5 seconds I was talking, but that doesn't matter. We will go through it. So I have a story to tell about my workload, which I'm sure you've all been there before, but woke up 11 a.m. Sunday morning, worked on this piece of work I was doing for Monday morning from 11 till 1, and that's 1 p.m, so that's not that bad. And then, because it was Mother's Day, I went out for a Mother's Day lunch with my mother. And that was all very nice, big family meeting, lots of hugs and all that, awesome kind of family reunion thing. And then I got home at about 2 o'clock, and from 2 o'clock I then worked pretty much straight for 12 hours, so I finished my piece of work at 2 a.m. in the morning, this morning in fact, this morning obviously being Monday morning, and so pretty tired, pretty long day. And I've been a little bit too busy to do anything else really recently, so that has now changed. I have finished that piece of work, so we are good, and I'm hoping to get a cast off twice a week. I'm thinking setting a day off Tuesday to upload. This will be uploaded on Tuesday. I'll render it overnight and it'll go up on Tuesdays, and I'm thinking probably Fridays or maybe Saturdays. I'm not sure, we'll see when it comes along. But obviously the new update has come out on StarCraft 1.3. I haven't done a cast since it, so I can now do this. I love making that noise. Anyway, it is between our red Protoss Beau. I'm going to call him Beau. I have a feeling that's a French name. It may pronounce Beau or something, but I'm going to call him Beau because I have a feeling that will be close enough to how you pronounced it if you were English. I'm trying to pronounce it with a very slight French accent, although it could just be Beau. I'm going to call him Beau. And our blue Zerg in the right corner, who is called WayWards, and they are in fact having a little bit of banter about which league each of them is in, and I saw the word low gold ? So I assume that they're in low gold, and I do know that at least one of these players is in gold league, because that is how I found this game. Gold league games always tended to be slightly more interesting, a little bit better than bronze leagues, and not quite as in-depth and complicated as above games. So gold and diamond are generally my preferences, although there is certain niceness to do with casting diamond league games. But anyway, we have Beau here doing the good old anti-Zerg rush strategy, which is obviously the gateway, or the pylon first, the gateway, the cybernetics core, and then the zealots on the hold position. What's it called? Kind of hold position command, movement command. So for early game, we have our Zerg taking a fairly early expansion. I would assume, by the fact that that is about a quarter of the way done, that he probably put that down around 14, 15 supply. So a very early expansion. We have metabolic boost coming out, and these drones are staying on the gas, which makes me ponder the possibility of roaches in our Zerg's play. But the Protoss is going to get around. The nice bubbling in that pool is going to give him a hint of exactly what's about to come on. My computer is dying. Should never, ever, ever try and cast a StarCraft game on this computer ever again. It has been dying quite vigorously for quite some time, but it does seem that our Zerg player has got his face supply blocked, and by face I mean himself. Of course, that is just a play on words, but does in fact seem to be macroing up, and if we look at the harvesters, we do see that the Protoss is up, which is not something I expected. I'm going to be honest, I was going to go and say that the Zerg would be up by about what the Protoss is up on the Zerg now. But nonetheless, I'm not quite sure what the Zerg has. 1 Queen, 15 drones, and 4 Overlords. So, aside from the fact that the Zerg obviously went a little bit overboard on the Overlord production there, he's now also getting out 6 Zerglings, which really isn't going to do too much against this 2 gateway build at the front. He must have cancelled that cybernetics core, because I could have sworn to God it was there earlier in the game. Nevertheless, we charge through. So, 6 Zerglings now moving down the map for WayWards, our blue Zerg friend, and he has got his expansion with no saturation on it, which, as everyone will tell you, is always just an amazing thing to do. I will now query, because I know all of you want to, I will now query his choice. It does seem that my StarCraft has decided to freeze. There we go, we are back, because he does not have the drones to put on this expansion. He had, how many was it? 18 drones? You can't split that between 2 expansions. This was pointless, WayWards. Why did you get this? If you're just going to go for early roaches, why would you even bother? but he does have these 6 Zerglings now. 3 of them going to sit here, 1 of them going to sit outside the ramp, perhaps run up the ramp just to see what's going on. Going to get shot to pieces by Stalkers, although he is going to see the timing on that warp gate, which is actually quite unfortunate for the Protoss player, because as everyone will tell you, a warp gate which lands at 6 minutes 30 is definitely a 4 gate. Well, especially if they do kind of this double thing here, then if they do a double gateway wall off, the chances are that Protoss player is going to get a lot of troops out pretty quickly. And it does seem that Beau has gone a 4 gate, 1 robo, 1 forge on 1 base, which is interesting, because I'm not convinced supporting that is going to be the easiest thing ever to do. I'm just wondering how WayWards is doing with his saturation of his expansion, and still no, he's even pumped in the lava there, but he is sadly lacking the minerals to do anything. He has colossal amounts of gas stockpiled now, coming up on the 450 mark, but is not getting any roaches or anything to make use of that gas. So I would suggest, in his shoes, pull these 3 drones off the gas, get them mining minerals, mine this one out first. It's the hardest to defend. You always want to keep your main base minerals there for as long as you can. And finally, doing what he is doing now, spread the creep between the 2 bases. It's just silly. So the backdoor rocks are being attacked now by 3 Zerglings, and the Protoss player is expanding. I'm interested to see exactly what he's intending to do, because he did seem to go for a 4 gate build. He is perhaps just waiting for that observer to scout what the Zerg player has got, but now might actually be a very favourable time for him to attack. The Zerg player does seem to be macroing up fairly hard, and has now indeed overtaken the Protoss in terms of drones. And I would in fact love to see some of these drones transferred down here, and if he is going to have so much gas, get some goddamn roaches, sir, get some roaches. +1 attack now coming out for our Protoss player out of his wonderful forge. Love to see him chrono boosting that. He has 100 energy on this Nexus. Not being chrono boosted, Zerg is doing a very good job, however, of keeping map control, and the Protoss player is swelling his army up in size here, going a heavy Stalker build, which actually I would not advise against Zerg, because Zerg can get out Lings deceptively quickly. Let's see, what, 6 lava, someone do the maths. I didn't get much sleep last night, that's too, can make myself look like an idiot now. That's 24 Zerglings you can get out pretty quickly, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's 24 Zerglings you get out quickly. Zerglings against Stalkers, not a good combination. Definitely need to get a few more Zealots in that RB against the Zerg. Personally, I am always a big fan of the Zealot and Stalker mix. And the Protoss player now transferring drones down to his 2nd expansion, getting up a robotics base. So I do believe we will be seeing some Colossus. I am surprised we have seen no aggression thus far. I do believe the Protoss player actually went for the 4 gate build, yet did not actually push it to his max, and if he had, he may well have been able to end that game at a good time. Zerg player now getting, ooh, I just closed it, getting a Carapax and an Infestation Pit, which is an always interesting choice. The Infestation Pit, obviously very useful in Zerg vs Zerg for Mutalisks and air units, useful in Zerg vs Terran for the Marines and that Bio Ball, getting all of that, and in Protoss vs Protoss for getting the hell out of there if these Stalkers are completely trashing your army. Fungal Growth, retreat. So always interesting. This Zealot is going to go and grab this watchtower, and he will easily dispatch of poor Mr. Zergy, who is sitting there. So now it does seem, I'm not quite sure where these drones are going. Let's have a look, shall we? Let me take you on a journey in the land of WayWards drones. And just for the sake of it, damn it! There we go. Where are we? Oh, and we are in fact having an expansion here for the Zerg. Interesting they didn't take this one. Simply knocking down these rocks, spreading the creep, makes this one easy to defend. And we do in fact have a Colossus coming out now of here. I wonder if we have Thermal Lance. I'm not convinced we have. I haven't seen it yet. StarCraft has once again frozen. And there we do, we have Thermal Lance. And an interesting display of the amount of pylons you can have in one place here from Beau. But nonetheless, I'm sure it's decorative to him. So I would actually like to see one of these 2 players do something now. I honestly believe that for quite a while now, our Protoss player has had the ability, and actually, I'm going to finish this sentence, I have endeavoured, you may say, to stop cutting myself off in the middle of sentences when I notice something interesting. I will instead show you it on the screen whilst talking. I believe that this Protoss has had the bigger force for quite a while now. In fact, if we go into army value, he does in fact have a much bigger army. What's that? plus 1,200 on minerals and about 400 there on gas on our Zerg player, who is now, you know, his second hatchery and all that saturation's kicking in. Just wondering what these 4 queens are doing sitting there. He may be going for some kind of queen rush, which can be effective due to the queen's ability to transfuse, but if he's not even going to bother to spread the creep, I am dubious as to why they were necessary. And we do have, how many is this, 6 stalkers for Beau now going around, and I'm just interested to see whether they will spot these expansions. It does look like they might, and indeed, here they go. They are. That's one expansion spotted by them stalkers there, and they are going to go up to the top and spot the other, which the observer has already seen. So the Zerg's nifty little double expand there, unfortunately not going to pay off for him, as both of them have been spotted, and now the Zerg has to face a difficult choice. Does he just leave that expansion to be completely nailed, or does he do, which he seems to be doing now, charge off to defend? But the Protoss knows that this is the most likely thing that's going to happen, and is now sending 2 Colossus and a hefty chunk of Stalkers and Zealots to the Zerg's base. Not quite sure why all these creep tumors are going down in one place, but you know, why not? So Zerg is going to have to make a bit of decisions here, because is he going to leave that expansion to them 6 Stalkers and pull back to defend his main base? Yes, he is. Good choice. Had you not done that, you may have found yourself in a spot of bother, and by a spot I mean a crap ton. So that was our first little engagement there, a little bit of teasing by the Protoss with his Colossus and Stalker Ball. More Infestors coming up for our Zerg player, and I'm just interested to see what upgrades the Protoss player has. He has 1 armour and Thermal Lance. And as for attack, he has 1 attack as well. And our Zerg player is sitting on 1 army. And that's it. So, in terms of army size, army value, and upgrades, the Protoss has got everything now, and he is just going to pop down here and completely devastate this expansion of the Zerg, and I'm just wondering what the Zerg thinks he's really doing. Oh, setting up 1 spine crawler. That's always good, you know. And now it seems like you're going to pay the price for not linking their bases up with creep. You can try and migrate your probes out, but I have a feeling they're all going to get slaughtered. Poor sad probe massacre. The Zerg player getting more lings out, which I would say is actually quite a good choice because of this Stalker heavy build, but at the same time, these Colossus do like roasting lings. It is one of their favourite things, and a counter-attack with all these lings here from the Zerg. 2 more Colossus in the main base, and actually not sending them lings on the attack, but going for the mineral line instead. We'll be able to do some severe economic damage here if their lings go and check. 1 probe goes down, 2 probe goes down, 3, 4, and he's just left the lings there not to attack anything, and they are just going to get roasted. So some fairly poor play there from WayWards. WayWards Zerg. Blink now coming out for our Protoss, which is actually quite a good idea, because if he engages these roaches off the creep, his army will be indefinitely more mobile than the Zerg's player army, which will give him the ability to move in, attack, pick off some units when he thinks it's getting too hairy, blink out. But as I've said before numerous times, and I will in fact say again, this Protoss could absolutely storm this Zerg right now, and it's actually quite annoying me he isn't, because I have just realised that this game is in fact over 15 minutes long, which means I'm going to have to split it up into 2 parts, which God help me I hate doing. But we do have corruption being used on both robotics facilities, and I'm just interested to see why he isn't using it on this as well. Because if you see a robotics base, little pincers popping down every so often, you can bet your hindsight that it is probably going to be Thermal Lance which is coming out of it. So I mean, good job stopping the Colossus production. But once they get that Thermal Lance upgrade, them 4 in his main army are going to be more